o'clock. And I explained to the kids that they open up early. You know, they have maintenance guys that actually probably start working at daylight and actually have to walk basically every inch of the. I mean, they inspect all the rides, but especially the roller coasters. Walk every inch of the track. If they, they check for anything that looks abnormal, and then after that, they would actually sit on the roller coaster, and go for some test rides. And the interesting thing, I don't know, I still have the newspaper article. Lake Compounds in 2001, it was the Boulder Dash, which is set up in, the roller coaster that is set in the mountain. And the maintenance guys were actually clearing some of the weeds at the bottom, near the bottom of the roller coaster. And of course the guys had their hearing protection on and also probably listened to music. And one guy had his head up through the rails of the roller coaster while they were testing the track, and he actually got decapitated. So that really freaks out the kids. And actually, I remember that year we were going to go to Lake Compounds. We did, but I would say almost half of the CPAP kids' parents didn't allow them to go, because that same year, I believe, that happened to somebody on that roller coaster, and there's also something happened on it. A tree fell a few years ago, but I think there was also another, like a carousel ride or something like that, and somebody got
an arm or something.
Yes, yeah. I mean, they've had their share of bad luck at Lake Compounds, but you can see that as far as the chances of actually getting hurt is 1 in 10 million, and the risk of actually dying is 1 in 790 million. So they are extremely safe. As much as your average person would probably think otherwise. Myself, my personal opinion is I would stay away from the carnival rides, though. Those rides that get put together, by, I don't know. Most of those guys look a little shady that put those together, and I'm sure they get inspected too, but nowhere near like an amusement park would. So I would stay away from those rides. So these are just some of the terms that we should know now with our new data sheets and engineering sheets, some of the terminology that the kids should know. And again, I present this, show them all the pictures, kind of give them, just expose them to some of these definitions. Not get too carried away. And the neat thing about the roller coasters, they're going to learn all of this as they build it, between building the roller coasters and doing the experiments that I have you guys do in a few minutes. Okay. Just kind of explains the difference between regular gravitational potential energy and inertia, and a lot of kids get those terms mixed up. I think those two. And the whole idea about the whole concept of the roller coaster is taking that potential energy and transferring it to kinetic energy. Just more terms. Velocity and speed, they're used kind of interchangeably on a lot of those. Those are, I think, on every single data sheet for every CPEP project, which I don't know if I 100% agree with that, because that's a hard concept for the kids to determine the difference between speed and velocity. Talks about Newton's laws, which again are in that worksheet. Okay, G-force. Now this is really cool. When I ask the kids, okay, like, how many G's are pressing on you now, or what is a G-force, and really they have no idea. But the whole idea is basically like when we're sitting in here right now, we're in a 1G environment. If we weigh 150 pounds, that is our weight. But if we end up in an environment where our bodies are going to be experiencing 2 G's, and that's twice our weight, so like 300 pounds. And what I try to stress to the kids is that additional weight, that puts stress on your entire body. It's that much harder for your blood to pump and things like that when you're under those type of G-forces. Okay. And over here, when I turn the lights, you're going to see I have a roller coaster that kind of shows you the difference between the type of loop coaster that has where you would ride and you're on the inside of the loop versus if you're on a roller coaster where you're like inverted, hanging from the track, and you're on the outside of the loop. And those things really can kind of really mess up your mind as far as the G-force. When you're on an inner one like this, the maximum that your body could withstand is just about 8 G's. And beyond that, you're going to black out because of you don't have enough oxygen going to your brain. Okay, and if you're on an external when you're on the outside of a roller coaster, if you were hanging from the rails, okay, you could only experience about 3 Gs. And at that, anything above that, you would actually pass out because there's too much blood pressure rushing to your head. And the kids, this is something, again, I turn the lights on, you can see all the dust. I have these hanging up in my room. The kids are like, oh, wow, when they see this little picture, with, blood, they're like, oh, wow, that's cool. So, just some really neat things about roller coasters that I wouldn't have known had I not, been teaching roller coasters at CPAP. And these are just pictures in the past. Almost every PowerPoint presentation I do for CPAP, I like to put some pictures of the kids in. And again, every workshop I say the same thing. A lot of these kids, I don't think I've ever had a workshop that I've had pictures of kids where I haven't recently seen 1 or 2 of them, because it's really, I've made a neat connection with a lot of kids at CPAP. And this is that roller coaster's one of I would say one of the earlier days roller coasters. You'll notice how there's no part of this that touches the track, and nowadays that wouldn't be acceptable for CPAP. Like all of roller coasters now, one part of the track has to touch the base. And those girls, I'm sure I won't forget to mention later on, but they're using acrylic paint. And painting is, I don't know how many of you have gotten into painting the roller coasters. That can be one of the most frustrating parts of teaching CPAP, because the kids, they are just so messy with the paint. And the paint is so expensive. What I would recommend you do, if possible, is try to get, instead of going down, if you were to go to a place like AC Moore or things like that, craft store, these little, a thing of paint about that big probably cost $15 or $20, and the kids, they would think they're going to need like half a cup of paint to paint their roller coaster. What happens to me is, they'll fill this thing up and paint just a little bit and then waste all that paint. So we have a local Sherwin-Williams store, and usually I approach them and try to get small things of paint that people have brought back or didn't want anymore. So really, I don't have any budget. I don't spend money out of my pocket nor does CPAP support us painting the roller coasters. So that's just an idea. If you are going to have the kids paint them, I would stay away from water-based paint or water-based.
Latex-based?
Latex-based, yeah, because what will happen with that foam, if it flexes even just a little bit, it just, that paint is so rigid, it's going to crack. Whereas acrylic has got a little bit of flexibility. And again, those are examples of roller coasters that just would not, don't meet the criteria for the newer roller coasters. And that was one morning with the roller coasters ready to go on CPAP day. And that was another picture, the same ones. And actually, I guess that year just about none of them touched the base. Yeah, all of these are kids on CPAP day. And I know you all know here now, CPAP day is at the Connecticut Convention Center, which is much, much nicer than the old place where it used to be at University of New Haven. Yeah. Ken?
And how are you incorporating the theme when you get into
the theme?
You're like, we think reuse, recycling.
That's a good question. Unfortunately, so many of the kids, in my school, when I say the roller coaster, it's based on the Going Green theme, they think painting it green is gonna help. So I had a lot of luck with really trying to push the Going Green thing on the roller coaster. So that's actually a roller coaster from this year, which is again a kind of good example of what not to do. I'm going to explain afterwards. But I haven't seen any real cool designs yet this year for Going